live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Things Pan. We are officially sponsored by Pantastics868 on Instagram, so make sure you go check them out to get your pan sticks for your pan needs. I'm your host, Danielle George, and as you know, or if you don't know, on this page we talk to panists, arrangers, tuners, pan enthusiasts pertaining to all things pan. And I would love to next guest from Exodus and Pan Ramajay, Kenneth, Joseph. We'll be talking about Pan Ramajay today. And hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I am doing great.
That's good. So how's your day today?
It was good. You know, it started off nice, just doing some construction outside. Not me, but the complex, but it was so loud. But hey, getting some important stuff done, so that's what's needed.
That's all that matters.
And how was your day?
It was a lazy day for me.
Okay.
Which is rare. So I took advantage.
Right.
So are you ready to get to it?
Let's go.
Sounds good. So I'd just like to let everyone know, before we get started, at the last 15 minutes, we'll get them to ask you questions if you're okay with that.
I'm ready. Yeah? The hot seat.
Awesome. So, since we're here to talk about Pan Ramajay, can you talk to us about that and the history, for those that don't know?
Yeah. So, Pan Ramajay is an Exodus initiative, which began in 1989. And the premise of the entire competition was to get a chance to showcase the steel pan musicians, because as we look at National Panorama, or we look at music festival, the focus is on the arranger itself, or the conductor and everyone else that getting the music together. But this was a chance to allow the individual musicians to have their time to be featured. And to showcase their skills, improve on their skills, and just have a platform as a soloist. Additionally, they also had the ensemble category, and the ensemble category, that was a chance to also showcase that you can have smaller bands to move around and still be effective. So that was the intention for the ensemble category.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you and your team to bring it back after 16 years?
So the plan was to always bring it back.
Okay.
And the reason why it stopped in the first place was because of funding. And, the initial funders were Fernandez, Stag, with guys like Dennis Ramdeen, of course, the original manager, Amin Mohammed, and
Okay.
his brother, Asa Mohammed. Also, Nikki Innes, some of the earlier guys that helped the funding. But, the funding was the important thing. And when we didn't have that funding, we just couldn't continue with this large project. Because,
Right.
as anyone may know about Exodus Steel Orchestra, it's something, it's like either you do it big or you just don't do it at all.
Right.
So, yeah, so, without the proper funding, they just said, hey, let's put it down for a while and see what comes up. And you asked why we brought it back. So the plan was to bring it back
Mm-hmm.
eventually. And, with everyone being at home, under these COVID quarantine times, it's
Yes.
like, why not?
Right. Okay. So what made you guys, from what I remember,
Hmm.
because I used to watch with my dad when I was younger, it was just based in Trinidad in Exodus, Panyard.
Hmm.
So what made you guys decide to go international with it?
So, yeah, so it was in Exodus, Panyard before, and it moved to the grandstand,
Right.
the amphitheater as well, too. But why international? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of as all of the borders around the entire world is closed in, why not open it up for the musicians itself to get a chance to showcase themselves? And I think you can look at from the Ramajay itself, there were a lot of musicians not from Trinidad that
Mm-hmm.
really showcased themselves in a positive light.
Yeah.
Of course, everyone did a great job, but you just had a lot of people that you didn't really know about that is like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this person, and here they are playing, and it's like he or she is amazing. So
Right.
it just got a chance to really showcase and kind of really expose a lot of more musicians. So the intention was to really kind of capture from a broad point of view. So
Mm-hmm.
we went international. So again, go big,
Go big or go home.
go big or go home.
Fair enough. So you guys decided to make it virtual.
Hmm.
Why is that? Is it because of COVID, or was that your plan from the get-go to bring it back?
Yeah, it wasn't the plan from the get-go. The plan was to have it live in Trinidad itself. But
Mm-hmm.
again, with the COVID, it's like we need some stuff to do to keep people to stay at home.
Right.
Because I'm sure for you and for everyone else, when we began to stay at home after a while, it's like, okay, what is to do? What else can we do? I think
Mm-hmm.
my first 2 weeks, I'm like, okay, I like this, but I'm like, what's the next step?
Right.
So yeah, so we did the virtual thing to say like, hey, giving people a chance to have an enjoyable program to stay at home and watch.
Okay. What made you guys decide on the test pieces and the judges for Pan Ramajay?
Um, so that's through discussion, and it wasn't just like a one person, with the whole team. When we look
Mm-hmm.
at myself, Ainsworth Muhammad, um, and other members, of Exodus's committee as well, to kind of talking through to see what it looks like. The thought for the music itself was to give an international appeal. So again, you would have seen that we didn't just have only calypso from Trinidad.
Right.
We had two calypsos. We had a reggae. We had a lot more international stuff as well too. Because I mean, the intention is not to give an appeal or an advantage just to one country
Mm-hmm.
or someone who has experience in one style of music, but it's to give everyone a chance to say, well, hey, I may have heard this song before. I know this song. I may have even played this song before. And, so everyone had, I think, an opportunity where they may have either played something, heard it before, and so it wasn't all entirely brand new music.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then, of course,
Interesting.
with the judges, as you asked as well, too, sorry,
Mm-hmm. It's
um,
okay.
the judges was through consultation as well, too, when we sat down in the beginning, just like planning and putting pen to paper to see who we're going to choose.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll get into this a little later on, but I went to school at NIU, So one of my very first picks was Liam Teague,
Right.
because he is someone who is an what's the word for him? Very, very well experienced, amazing musician. He's a composer, arranger. He plays classical music. He plays jazz. He plays, every other
Wow.
style you can think about.
Yeah.
And so he was one of the very first ones that I said to myself, well, hey, he is a really good fit for um, this competition. And additionally, he was also a performer, uh, probably in 1990, I think. At the years,
Okay.
probably all, but he performed in it. So
Okay.
he fitted really well as
Hmm.
a well-established musician, a connoisseur of the steel pan instruments, and
Hmm.
a past performer.
Okay. All right. So, was there any arguments with the judges?
Yeah, you know what? You know what? And I'll say this. Those four gentlemen, and so the judges, for those who may have missed it, the judges were Liam Teague, Victor Provost, Eugene Novotny, and
Hmm.
Ron Reed.
Yeah.
So those four gentlemen, when I tell you, they are one, really good musicians, but
Hmm.
they're also so peaceful and calm. They encourage good conversation, in the sense that, there's some things that we said, hey, let's do this. And they were like, well, this is good. How about this? And, so that's
Okay.
through that consistent communication, we kind of really had a smooth flow of everything. So it wasn't a
Hmm.
case that there were any arguments,
Okay.
no. And again, like, these four musicians, they are all top class in their own field, because they're all
Hmm.
professors at university, but yet
Right.
still they're also performing musicians. So that is they teach it, but they also practice it on a regular
Hmm.
basis. So
Okay.
it was,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. So, what are your future plans for Pan Ramajay? Is this going to be a yearly thing? Are you going to try to do it twice a year? What's your plan?
So the intention is to do it yearly. Um,
Okay.
of course, everything is contingent on funding.
Right.
Because this year, the Republic Bank Exodus undertook the entire thing, and with whatever funds the band had, from the bank, as the bank supports the steel band every year, but whatever funds the band had is what they used to organize the actual event. So the hope is to get some sort of a larger funding. So
Hmm.
if you're out there and you have a ton load of cash, let us know. We will definitely accept it, and
I'll
we'll
keep my ears up for you.
thank you. So,
You're
but
welcome.
it will be an annual event. The intention is to have it, and again, things may change, but the intention is still to have it virtual next year as well.
Okay.
Still international, because we want to really capture a lot of places that we haven't even tapped into this year, because we didn't have any Canadian representative.
Hmm.
So
I'll think about it. I'll think about it.
hopefully we can have that next year. We didn't have anyone from England either. And
Mm.
there's Pan as well in France. There's Switzerland. Um, I don't want to misspeak, but I know Pan is around a lot. And I know when even I spoke to some folks from Japan, they part of that was even with the language barrier as well too. We
Mm.
didn't tap in
Hmm.
enough with direct messaging to them. Because
Hmm.
um, Japanese, we're speaking
Right.
English.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of things, to keep that international feel, and then to get more countries represented, to really have a broad international appeal.
Hmm.
I think we did a decent job this year, where we had, of course, Trinidad, St. Lucia, Antigua, Barbuda, Barbados, Guyana, St. Martin. We had Bahamas, but he
Hmm.
had to pull out. We had some Puerto Rico,
Okay.
the U.S., Japan, and we had one Denmark. He also had to withdraw on the last minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your plans to make more people come in and not feel scared or worried that they're not good enough?
You know what the thing is about this competition,
Hmm.
and some of the musicians could really attest to it, the ones who were in the competition. It's a case that you have to have some sort of musical vocabulary in the beginning.
Hmm.
However, it's one of those things that you can't fully prepare for it
Right.
in advance because, again, for those who are out there who might not have seen the show or who may have forgotten,
Hmm.
the host itself draws the song before they actually play.
Yeah.
So while they know there are 5 songs or there are 10 songs, they don't know which one they're going to actually play until it's like, hey, play this song. So
Right.
there's a level, and you would understand as well as a musician, there's a
Hmm.
level of a little uncomfortableness where you like, okay, I'm going to play either one of these 5, but my head isn't entirely clear, and I have to say, well, I'm going to either play this one, but I'm still thinking like the chord changes here, so I can't zero in one specific song.
Right.
So the thing is, and I say for those who are out there who might not feel entirely comfortable, it depends on the song that you're chosen,
Right.
because it can go either way.
Right. Okay. Would you like? I would like to see more kids, more younger pianists in it.
Hmm.
Was there an age um,
No,
restriction? No.
no, and you know what? And in terms of, you even saw Dejan Kane
Yes.
and Deja, sorry,
Yeah.
so they, I believe, turned 17 in the middle of
Okay.
the competition.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's 17 they turned. Um, and he was in the semifinals for the solo
Hmm.
category. They were both they were in the duo um,
Dual. Yeah.
finals,
Yeah.
and then in the quarters as well too. So like for me, the thing is age, and I hate to be cliche, but it really is just a number because he did a great job. He held up himself against people
Yes.
who have a ton load of experience, and he made it
Hmm.
to the semifinals, and he did the same for the other category. So
Hmm.
there's the age restriction, and there's some older folks as well too who also made to the semifinals and did their thing. So
Yeah.
it's not about age; it's about what you speak when you're playing.
Hmm.
So you can be 10 if you have that musical language already, or you can be 85.
Nice. So for those watching, if you have any kids that have the pan vocabulary, please do it.
Please do it. We're
Yes.
back again next year.
Yes, for sure. So, who is Kenneth Joseph?
Who is Kenneth Joseph?
Who
Okay.
is? Let's get to know you a bit.
Ah, um, that's a tough one. Who is he? Well, so I'm also a musician. I am from Trinidad and Tobago. I currently reside in Connecticut.
Okay.
Um, so for those who might know, that's just north of New York. Everyone knows New York.
Yes.
So, well, New York City itself. So
Yes, yes.
just north of New York City. Um, I began playing pan at the age of 8 in Trinidad. The fun fact, I hated playing steel pan.
What?
Yeah, no, I really hated it. So let me step back. Me learning to play steel pan was actually um, a reward from my late godmother. So
Okay.
she said, you were doing so well in school, I want to reward you. Let's learn to play pan. I'm like, okay, I began to play in June 1990, and I didn't like it. So
Hmm.
for anyone out there from Trinidad, if you remember, in June 1990, we had an attempted coup.
Mm.
And then we were under like house arrest, and there's a curfew and stuff, so we didn't have pan for like a month and a half with all of that's happening. And then when we resumed playing steel pan, something switched in me, and I began to like, I love this. Don't ask
Okay.
what it was. I may have missed it from just not being there, but something switched, and I was like, okay, I like this. So
Mm-hmm.
from that day on, I began to enjoy playing steel pan. Um, Going to high school, we didn't have steel pans or any music at school in high school, so that was unfortunate. But I was still
Mm-hmm.
a member of Paris Pan School, and that's where I
Okay.
began playing under Selwyn Parry Paul and the late Eddie Qualis, who was one of my first music teachers.
Wow.
So he arranged for Neo-Massey All Stars, and
Yeah.
yeah, some of the big ones like Earthquake, Guitar Pan, Dust in Your Face,
Yes.
Heavy Roller, some of my favorite
Yes.
pieces from All Stars. So
Mm-hmm.
he arranged those. So definitely one of my big influences in looking up to him. Um, Upon finishing secondary school, high school, I began to work, odd jobs, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wasn't really sure what direction I wanted to go. And then I was working at that time in Trinidad Mario's Pizzeria in St. Augustine, and one of my assistant managers, we were talking one day, and she was like, what's your plan? You're doing so well, like
Mm-hmm.
in less than a year, you were like getting promoted in Mario's, and I was like, oh, having fun, I'm young, I'm probably like 19, I think it was, and
Right.
she said like, you've been playing pan for all these years, you're studying music, why not go to UE?
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, I'll think about it and kind of look into that. And I began to go to UE, and I did initially I did my certificate in music, and then I did my bachelor's of arts degree.
Mm-hmm.
And my professor at that time, Satyanan Sharma, he also went to NIU for his master's. So
Okay.
upon completion, he was like, Kenneth, you should go do your master's. I'm like, well, I'm good. Because I just finished studying for 3.5, 4 years.
Right.
Um, and then I was actually teaching at Five Rivers Secondary in Trinidad, teaching music. And I was like, I'm living with my parents. I'm getting a good salary teaching. I'm paying probably one bill, my car note. So I
Mm-hmm.
was totally contented and like, I'm good. And then he was like, well,
Right.
you should do this. And I was like, well, I'll look into it. And I did. So,
So you have to thank him for pushing you.
uh, well, he knows that. He definitely knows that.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
so I did. And I went on to NIU and I did my master's in music. And,
Okay.
there I worked with Liam Teague and the late Dr. Cliff Alexis and many other professors.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. So when you started, did you start with the tenor? What band did you start with?
Ooh, I believe I think we all began on tenor.
Okay.
I think we all began on tenor. And then I switched to double second,
Okay.
which became my favorite pan afterwards. And I stuck with that for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but still back and forth did tenor. But
Okay.
I think I was one of those young kids where I was pretty I'm seeing Kun saying tenor. Thank you, Kun. Because good to know, Kun and I began playing pan the exact same day, June 1990. I've, I've,
Okay.
I've known Kun for that amount of years.
Wow.
Thank you, Kun. Um,
So so double second is your go-to pan.
so it is my go-to instrument.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I was listening to someone, I think it was here, it may have been Duvon talking,
Mm-hmm.
I think, or someone else. But
Yeah.
similar to whoever that person was, second is my go-to instrument. But I do a lot of more tenor right now, just because of convenience and traveling and just packing up stuff.
Right.
Uh, It's just much easier.
Mm-hmm.
But double seconds is still my main instrument of
Okay.
choice.
Okay. What is your musical influences? Is there a certain type when you play when you're playing out at a party or something?
You know,
What is your go-to genre? or do you have one?
And I don't have favorites of anything. I don't have favorite genre, favorite composers, arrangers, and I tend not to have favorites because I think, and well, from experience, from like writing my own music, when I
Mm-hmm.
began to kind of focus on one particular person and kind of follow, what they were doing, I began to have a typecast, and I began to have
Mm,
it's sounding only in one format. So with
right.
that said, I try not to have just one influence because then I begin to sound monotonous and the same. So I try
Mm-hmm.
to listen to as many as possible and then kind of keep it broad. But um, as being Trini, I would definitely love playing calypso, soca, this
Mm-hmm.
hands
Just to
down,
go to? Yeah.
hands down. But I also really love classical music.
Okay.
Definitely
Is
love
there a
classical
favorite?
music.
Is there a favorite piece you like to play? Like,
Um, One of my favorite composers is Tchaikovsky.
okay.
Uh, Favorite piece from him, I can think back and just to kind of connect the dots with Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
We played at a music festival one year, Romeo and Juliet,
Oh wow.
which was an amazing. I think it was 2002, if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken. Um, and this is a beautiful piece of music, which has stuck with me. But of course, with Tchaikovsky, it's so many things to choose from.
Right.
So
Nice.
yeah.
So how did you get involved in Pan Ramajay?
Okay, so I was an Exodus player for a while before
Mm-hmm.
leaving Trinidad, and the current manager, Aita Mohammed, he contacted me and said, "Hey, what are your thoughts? What does this look like?" And I said, "Well, hey, let's talk about it and just see how we can go with it." And kind of just like that,
Just happened?
it was really effortless in the sense that
Yeah.
I'm always doing something new. And back as I said, like when we were shut down from
Mm-hmm.
COVID, I was home still doing different things. I was teaching online with my kids from school. So I had that going on, but I just can't stay put for too long. So it's like, okay, you know what? Mm, that's going well. I'm on
Mm-hmm.
track with that. What's the next thing?
Right.
So when he said, this, it was kind of easy. Like, yeah, sure, let's go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
yeah, it was that simple.
That was helpful.
Yeah.
So you're gonna stick with it?
It's good. So in terms of for me, I do a lot of organizing on my end
Mm-hmm.
in Connecticut with
Mm-hmm.
one of my steel bands that I direct. So that was also second nature for me in the organizing point of view. I
Okay.
definitely do like being behind playing as well too. But organizing is also really really good in the
Mm-hmm.
sense that we really try our best with Ramajay to be consistent, to be organized, and just get information out to the musicians on a timely basis. So
Right.
there was so much stuff done behind the scenes and planning, like so much.
Yeah, I
Um,
can imagine.
it,
I can imagine.
it was tiring, but I definitely I will do it again because it
Yeah,
was it was fun.
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Would you play in Pan Ramajay if you decide to step out and not organize it?
Um, I don't know. I don't know. And it's
Okay.
not, and it's I mean, it's a good competition. I mean, I will
Mm-hmm.
definitely enjoy doing it. So it's not that I wouldn't enjoy doing it. Um, so I'm just, you know what? And I shouldn't be reading the comments because I'll get distracted. So, and I'm ignoring the comment I just saw with the recital. Anyhow, yeah, yeah, I'm not sure if I'll compete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. So you said you teach. May
hmm
I ask, what do you teach?
So yeah, so in Connecticut here I teach steel pan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so at school, the kids play steel pan as one of their classes
Mm-hmm.
um, from fourth to 12th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
additionally, I teach at a community steel band. This community steel band is a church steel band. So while they do annually 6 different church services per year, they
Mm-hmm.
do a lot of other secular stuff at bazaars, at weddings, at any little, get together they have outside, whatever it might be. We do a lot of those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I direct that ensemble, but they now within themselves, they have 5 different steel bands.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
I
it,
didn't know it was like that.
it's you know what, it's great, but it's so much work getting those
Yeah.
5 steel bands, together, because they all at varying levels. There's one
Right.
of them that's the main performing band that performs around the states and like in neighboring states, and
Mm-hmm.
then there's an adult beginner group.
Okay.
We began that group basically as an after work social for these adults. Just to say, you know what, let's come here in the Steelman room, um, have a glass of wine. Um,
Of course.
One turned to 2, but it doesn't really matter either way. But
It's okay. It's okay.
have a glass of wine, and then just play some music.
Mm-hmm.
And they have grown so much because they enjoy doing this so much. Um, Up to the point, like, if someday they said, "Hey, I gotta cancel today. I got something else going on. It can't happen," they were upset with me that I had to cancel. And then they began. I said, "You know what? Okay, since you guys want to rehearse, here's a key to the band room. You just go
Mm-hmm.
ahead right there, and you can just rehearse yourself." And they
Right.
began doing that. There was one day I walked in, and I'm like, "Y'all don't need me because you sound good without me." But that's another
While you're
story.
crying inside.
Right? I'm like,
I've
this kind of hurts a little bit, but
yeah.
I'll leave it alone.
Yeah.
So that's the second group. The third is a bunch of kids who are so good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, these kids have been playing for a while, but and their skill level is amazing. And for rehearsing one day a week on a Saturday for 1 hour, they get so much accomplished.
Wow.
And
And
then
what's the age group from that? For that?
that age range is usually the more experienced, so probably from like 11 up to 18.
Okay.
Because usually, of course, after 18 is off to college and
Mm-hmm.
they leave.
Or they're not interested in it.
Well, it depends. It
Right.
depends on if they're in state or they're out of state.
Mm.
Because I've had some kids who have gone to college and came back and performed for like the Christmas concerts and stuff like that.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, they're definitely into it. But it's just I want them also to enjoy college life. So
Yeah.
I'll hate to be like, well, hey, you're close by, come and just play. I want
Yeah.
to have like, they can wake up Saturday morning at 2 p.m. if they want to, and just have that
Mm-hmm.
that life. So
Right.
yeah. And then the last group, they are the beginners. So they range from we begin at 8, and then
Okay.
usually they go into like 11 depending on their skill level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they are called the Pan Does.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
That's cute.
Yeah. They're the
So
pandas.
nice. So with your school group, do you do theory and all that with them? Is it like an actual class, like a music class?
So we have done theory in the past. It depends on what the schedule looks like. So
Okay.
there are some kids who were able to get theory in between, as well as. But at the end of the day, for me, is that we have to teach students how they're going to learn.
Right.
Most kids, and I love theory. I've always loved theory from
Mm-hmm.
a kid, but most kids don't love theory, and
Yeah,
I
I'm one
and I,
of them.
and it's okay. But
Yeah.
I have taught them theory without them even knowing,
Right.
in the sense that we're doing a practical piece and we're playing, and I'll stop for a quick minute, write on the board something. I'm not telling them to learn it, but by just talking about it, it's in
Mm-hmm.
their brain already. And say it again tomorrow, it's back in their brain. There's some kids who have had when they were in first grade, and I use a lot of speech cues.
Mm-hmm.
And when they were in ninth and 10th grade, they were saying the same speech cues. And they were like, "You're so annoying. We hate this speech cues." But they were still doing it. So I was like,
Right.
good.
You're doing something right.
Good. I mean,
Yeah.
of course, it's all within love. They were saying, you're annoying, but they enjoyed it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. How hard was it to get pan in the school that you're in right now? Or was it already there?
So luckily, when I got there, the pans were already there. So
Okay.
I didn't have to recreate the wheel. There,
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate enough to, in another school I worked in for a short while. I was playing I was playing part of an opera written by Andy Akil, and it was written at that time just for one pan, I think a bassist and someone else.
Yeah.
So I played, I think, two movements, and I'm just off my head, it's like 10 years ago or more, but I played two movements out
Mm-hmm.
of it at this local performing high school. And the then after school director said, I want to meet with you. I'm like, all right, cool. So we met, and she said, hey, I just happened to, this is a true story, I just
Mm-hmm.
happened to have like $10,000 that I have to spend by next week. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. She's like, yes, I mean, would you be interested in buying some pants? I'm like, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
it was a no-brainer. And of
Yeah.
course, with how some of these funding go, like if you don't spend the money, you will lose it.
Right.
So it's a case that she just had to spend the money on something for the kids. And I said, yeah, I said, we'll buy some pans. And, that year we bought some pans. And the next year we started an after-school program at
Mm-hmm.
that high school.
Okay. How is the pan community in Connecticut? Is it pretty big? Is it small? How is it?
Um, So I'm in New Haven, Connecticut, and
Okay.
in New Haven, there's a lot of little. So like at the school, there's pans. At my community and group, there's some steel pans, and there's Yale has a club as well too with some pans.
Oh wow.
hmm There are, and at the other school I mentioned before, where I began
Mm-hmm.
that program, there's some pans there, and a few other schools have some smaller groups,
Okay.
probably like 5, 6 pans, but they're still pans and they're
Mm-hmm.
still being used
Okay.
and being taught properly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Never would have thought.
And to be honest, before I even came here as well too, I was like, I wouldn't have thought the same thing either.
Yeah. Huh. So do you plan on making pan bigger in Connecticut
I'll say
or make
this.
it?
I would like to have steel pan be bigger in general.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really passionate about this because there's so many men and women that have paved the way for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of men that died, in the fight and the struggle just to get this to be what it is. And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm very passionate about how I teach the instrument and what people know and the correct terminology and the correct technique. It's important because I have to do something, or we in our generation have to do something to keep steel pan growing.
Right.
They did their part. They fought. It has a voice. Now, what we have to do is to take the voice that they gave us and put it in a bigger platform and just
Mm-hmm.
keep authenticizing the instrument and making it as legit as possible.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Have you ever done a mini panorama with all your groups in Connecticut?
So I have, well, not all the groups, but in my school I did that one time. We had
Okay.
a mini panorama. I had judges come in.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they had score sheets, and the kids played, they performed, and there was a panorama champion.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but one thing about speaking of panorama, and I know I'm seeing some of my kids online here as well too.
Yeah.
But one thing they can talk about is that every single year we watch panorama every
Oh,
year.
that's good. That's good.
Um, yeah, we definitely. I mean, I think I'm a little biased in my teachings because if there's one band they know about is
Of
Exodus.
course. Of course.
I said, hey, you can enjoy the other bands, but you're going to support Exodus.
You must support and listen to only Exodus, but you can listen to everyone else. But
Yeah, yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
they definitely have seen these all of these bands, and they watch. We watch more than Exodus. We watch all the bands, of
Hmm.
course. And I say, well,
Yeah.
hey, we didn't do too well this year, so you're gonna watch this first place and the second place, but you'll still watch Exodus and you'll still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Um, I don't even know what else to ask you, man.
I'm sorry. I'm seeing one of my kids here. Kayla just said, every year it never fails.
Nice.
She they watch every year Panorama. So
That's crazy. That's good.
I mean,
Do
I
you
had
have
planned. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, no, go ahead.
No, I was not going to say I had planned because I've been judging for the past few years the New York Panorama competition,
Okay.
and I was hoping to get them down to New York to either play sometime or just be in the atmosphere itself because people take for granted Panorama.
Yes.
It's because folks like us who kind of grew up in that element itself, we take for granted how amazing it is and how much you
Hmm.
learn from the entire competition and just being in the element and the panyard itself.
Hmm.
Um, it's breathtaking. It really, really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you that actually, if you have taken your kids to Panorama New York.
So no,
So
so they haven't gotten a chance to get down there, and
yeah.
and again because I'm judging most of the time, so it's kind of like it's difficult. It's kind of like, hey, let's do this together, and then but I'll be over here, and then they by themselves, so
Hmm.
it's a little too much, yeah.
Yeah. Um, I don't even know what to ask you. What is another fun fact about yourself that you want to give us?
Oh
Because you already
boy,
snuck one in there.
I did. What was my first one? I forgot the first one. I talk so much, I don't know,
You
but
you
um,
didn't like Pan, which is
oh,
shocking to me.
oh, no, but and I said that because it's very important that in terms of we all have I'm sorry. Um,
I saw that. I saw it.
so my kids went to America's Got Talent about 4 years ago. Thank you,
Okay.
Shelly.
How'd that go?
You know what? It was a great experience. To
That's good.
talk about it, we didn't get to the live round, but
Hmm.
we were there for a very, very long time. They
Mm.
kept pushing us back and say, you know what, you're gonna go in the next hour. That time came as like, you'll go the next hour. So
Oh, wow.
I'm dealing here with young kids, not young, but middle school age,
Hmm.
but still, they're gonna get after a while restless.
Yeah.
So these kids said, hey, can we practice? I said, you know what, sure. So we're in this holding room, where you have everyone there on each other, um,
Right.
about to perform, and they began to play Adele, "Rolling in the Deep."
Oh, wow.
And when I tell you, like everyone just stopped what they were doing and began to look
And look.
around, and people were just there in amazing, and they just sat there and they just clapped for them, and like
Hmm.
that was an amazing feeling because that wasn't the song that they were playing for the actual competition. It was just a
Oh,
song
okay.
that they had known from general rehearsal, and they
Hmm.
began on their own, just doing it. I mean, it just felt good, to see
Yeah.
your kids doing this and all on their own, having fun and just making magic.
Hmm. So
So
we're gonna do America's Got Talent again? Because you
I,
guys have to make the live show. You
you know,
have to.
you know what, and I think what might be helpful is to do like a smaller group in the beginning
Mm.
and then expand
Yeah.
because I think we had two, three, five, eight, probably like 14, 15 kids, I think, that we took
Okay.
down from Connecticut to New York. We took down,
Hmm.
and that day, those kids, um, they were so organized. They were so like they. We didn't have to tell them what to do. Like at the beginning, hey guys, you're gonna do this, this, this. It was said one time, and they did it. They were all helping out. They were doing their own things, and they're getting stuff. It was like an amazing time where they just showed how responsible they were.
That's good.
Yeah. And again,
Wow.
I'm seeing one of my students, Kayla, is online making little
Yeah.
talks here and there. So
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so the fun fact that you asked about, the second fun fact, I will say, and this is embarrassing, but I
Students, are you listening?
I I get scared very easily, and
Ah.
like way too easily. So every year this happened this past Saturday.
Hmm.
Every year we do an annual summer camp at my community group. So this year, because of the whole COVID restriction and everything else, we said in lieu of the summer camp, we're gonna have a day of play. So we said we're gonna go get our pans, take it outside in the parking lot, had some tents, and just have it socially distant and have the kids just come and play for a short while to get out of the
Hmm.
house and kind of break the monotony of the video games and all the
Right.
technology stuff. So
Hmm.
um, where we rehearse, we share the building with a bookstore.
Okay.
So the bookstore lady said to me, Kenneth, when you come down, I know you haven't been here in a little while, but when you come down, I've put a bookshelf in the hallway. So just so you're aware, because I put the bookshelf there so folks can get their books in and out and not stay too long.
Hmm.
I said, sounds good. So I walked in Saturday morning into the room, and as I walked in, there was this red thing in the corner, and I literally dropped what I had in my hand, and
Oh.
it was the bookshelf.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so
So now all your students know they're gonna scare you for fun.
they've done it before. That's
Oh,
not,
okay. So it's nothing new.
for them. It's not new. I really get scared easily, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure how to fix it, but it's embarrassing.
It's okay. It's okay. Now everyone knows. No, when everyone sees you, they're just gonna scare you for fun.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. Um, I don't know if you have a pan available, but a few of your students and Kern wants you to play.
My I'm, I'm not playing tonight, Kern. And no, you know what? I'll say this. I will definitely come back on another night and play.
Okay.
Later on, I'm sure you're in the 11th episode now.
Yes.
Um, tell Kern to be quiet. No, so where I live in this condo complex, and
Okay.
I don't play late at nights just because it's not as
Fair enough.
yeah, conducive for playing.
Fair enough.
So
Oh my God, Kern.
I'm not even listening to him.
So, all right.
Um,
Is there anything else you want to? It's okay. We'll ignore him.
I am.
Is there anything else you'd like to let us know about Pan Ramajay that we didn't get a touch on? Or
I think we tapped on, most of this stuff. That it's just important to know that, next year is going to be back again.
Mhm.
And it's international, it's from your home as well. So, and just to add on, in the upcoming years, the thought is, and it's not concrete, but the thought will be is that we will begin virtually still to allow everyone to continue taking part in the competition. But
Okay.
then, we'll separate it accordingly and then have the semis and the finals in Trinidad itself.
Oh, nice. That'd
So
be nice.
it still gives people a chance to be included.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we're bringing the world together
Yes.
with music.
Yes.
And
I appreciate that.
I always tell people that two instruments that I think are really important that help recycle is from Australia, the didgeridoo.
Mm-hmm.
They take broken trees, and
Yep.
then of course steel pan. So we're doing our part to recycle as well.
Yeah. Someone's asking will there be a kids section next year?
Kids section. Um, I I don't know. Um, it's a good question, but I don't know because and I kind of tapped on in terms of we had what's the word, the Jean King
Mm-hmm.
and his sister Deja. They were both very competent, and they're 17. Then we
Right.
also had Kobe. Kobe, I believe, turned 20 in the competition,
Okay.
so he entered at 19.
Mm-hmm.
and he was in the finals. So,
Yeah.
I do agree with probably having a category for age. Um, so it's an option, but not,
Mm-hmm.
nothing set in stone as yet.
Okay, something to think about.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Someone was asking, how was it judging for Panagrama?
Hi, Brielle. Um, you know what? So Panorama happened just the month before Ramajay,
Mm-hmm.
and so two things. It just I love both competitions because it really gave people opportunity to get some stuff done, to kind of have some sort of normalcy in life,
Mm-hmm.
from your homes and doing the correct things.
Yeah.
So Panorama is a little different to Ramajay because it was entirely live on Panorama.
Mm-hmm.
So there were some really good things because they got to choose their own music. So they were a little more, not, I'll say better prepared, but it was different. But the live forum, because there were a little technical stuff here and there, is a
Mm-hmm.
little tricky to kind of keep your mind focused as well too. But I think overall it was a great experience because it was a really good platform for them.
Mm-hmm.
Really good platform for them. I think that the difference now and I didn't judge Ramachay, but if I was judging, it'd have been a little smoother because you have the videos recorded and you can listen to it, kind of at will,
Right.
casually. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Does anyone else have any more questions before we end the night? I'll give it a bit.
I'm sure Kuhn has something.
I'm sure he does.
Sure he does.
So, what do you play a lot as a soloist?
Um, I do 50-50. I think
Okay.
I began to be absorbed so much in teaching
Mm.
that I haven't been doing a lot of the soloing, and I love doing that. But I kind of, when I get into a zone of like performing as a soloist, I'm there. And then
Right.
so like in the summer times, there's probably more of me performing as a soloist. But
Mm-hmm.
during like from the fall and the spring, it's like kind of pull back because I'm doing more teaching, and
Right.
because for me, all of my ensembles, all of my I'm ignoring this young man over here, Kun. Um, because for me, all of my ensembles, I write everything for them. Um, it's just very time consuming.
Right.
And I intentionally do that for two things because we don't have a lot of music out there for pan,
Mm-hmm.
it has been changing and getting much better.
Yeah.
But then secondly, how I write the music based on everyone's ability. So
Oh, okay.
therefore, in any one band, you may have 10 different parts sometimes. So everyone could be successful.
Mm-hmm.
So that is timely sometimes.
Okay. Have you ever written songs for other bands besides the ones that you know?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Um. So I've definitely written um for a band in Jamaica one time.
Okay.
I've done some stuff for past NIU students.
Okay.
Um, I began not judging. I began arranging for a band in New York for Panorama 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't work
Hmm.
out for a plethora of reasons, but
We
um,
won't even get into it. We'll do
that
that. We'll do that
that's the
off camera,
next
offline. Yeah.
that's the next one.
Someone asked, what was your least favorite performance and why,
Eh.
if you have one?
Um, I don't think I have a least favorite. I think I have some that didn't go as well.
Hmm.
But I definitely took them and had to improve on it. So I definitely had a couple of, when I was younger, some solo gigs that wasn't too pretty.
Right.
And I definitely had to kind of say, well, why did it not go the way you wanted it? But then again, on the flip side, I was recently, as in like last 2 weeks, looking back at some videos I had of me from 10 years ago. And I said to
Hmm.
myself, I didn't post them at that time because I'm like, that's awful. But when
Right.
I came back now, I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad. I heard a few mistakes here and there, but I'm like, I'm so kind of hard on myself all the time that, yeah.
I think we all are as musicians. We're just we realize or we think it's a horrible performance until we go back and it's just
Yeah.
like it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Someone asked, are you gonna go for your PhD and what's your dream school?
Um,
No?
no. So the PhD is still on my horizon.
Okay.
I just need to really get back in the mind frame for education. And when I left doing my master's, I initially wanted just to go straight out there and go to UNT in Texas. There's a professor who was there at that time who was a professor of my professor.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, go there, because I did conducting as well too, in grad school.
Okay.
So he said, go there, get your degree in conducting, your DMA, and that'll be it. So.
Okay. Someone's asking, will you teach the beginner class? And I think you answered that earlier.
Yeah, so I do teach one already, Anne-Marie. We have one in Connecticut, all beginners, adults.
So you have a new student.
Yes, but Anne-Marie is in New Jersey, I think.
She can make a quick drive.
She definitely can.
Just for one practice.
And I actually had students who came from New York every Saturday to Connecticut for a rehearsal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So she can do it.
She definitely can.
Well, before we get cut off here, I just want to say thank you for coming on our show. It was great.
And the time went by so quickly.
It goes by fast. It does.
And I was just saying to you that I talk so much, so I know I'm like, the time is done already.
Yeah, and I said we can go for 2 hours if you want.
I'll save some more for the next time.
Okay.
Because then I'll be like, let's talk some more for 3 hours. It's okay.
Well, thanks again for coming on. Next time you come on, you'll have you play a few songs.
I definitely will.
Just to get wet those other people's palate.
Yeah. No, I definitely let me know, and I'll definitely be back on another time, and I'll play something for them.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all the viewers for watching and giving us some good content. I like to see the comments. It was funny.
Thank you.
Make sure you guys tune in next Monday for our next guest.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.